I got sucked into the hustle culture of trying to work as hard as possible, and for a year, I spent between 8 and 12 hours a day working on my business and brand. But at the end of that year, I hadn't earned a single dollar online, and I had just 300 subscribers to my name. I realized this wasn't working and I needed to change something because it wasn't really sustainable, so I switched to 4-hour workdays. Within 10 days of doing this, I earned my first dollar online, and since then, my business and brand has been growing exponentially. In this video, I'm going to break down why 12-hour workdays were making me poor and how to grow your business faster doing less. There's only one way that you can personally grow your business, and that's through your output. And your output's a very simple equation. It's just volume times leverage, where volume is the amount of time that you put into your work and leverage is the return that you get on that time. The problem is that most people look at this equation and they think, okay, I just need to do more volume. I need to do more work. So they continue to increase their volume. The problem is that there's only 24 hours in the day. Volume is capped, but leverage is unlimited. You can always get better and better and better returns on your time. After a certain point, adding more volume isn't really helping you, it's usually hurting you. So I'm going to break down the life cycle of two different people trying to grow their business. One person doing it by increasing volume and the other one doing it by keeping volume fixed and increasing leverage. So there are two blacksmiths, and both of these blacksmiths are trying to be the best in the world. They're trying to build a blacksmith empire. They're trying to grow their business as quickly as possible. Now, the first blacksmith here realizes that if he wants to grow his empire, he needs to increase his output. So to increase his output, he decides to increase his volume. He decides to work 12 hours every day in the workshop, hammering away at the swords. Now, after a week of doing this, he's produced 100 swords and he's made a fair bit of coin. He's feeling really good. He's feeling like, I've progressed the business really quickly. This volume game is absolutely fantastic. The second blacksmith thinks, I'm going to keep my volume fixed at 4 hours a day and I'm just going to focus on leverage. So he works 4 hours a day in the workshop, and when he's finished that 4 hours, he's done. So by the end of the week, he's produced 60 swords. Not as much as the first blacksmith. He's earned a little bit of money, but he's feeling pretty good. He's thinking, I'm playing the long game. Long term, I'm going to win this. Now, what happens very quickly is the first blacksmith starts getting tired. After about 4 hours, his peak capacity starts reducing and the diminishing returns kick in. Every extra hammer, he's getting less and less strong and he's getting worse returns on his time. So while his volume might be high, his leverage starts getting lower and lower and lower and lower, and he starts producing less swords every single hour. The second blacksmith also gets tired. After he's done 4 hours of hammering, he gets pretty damn exhausted. But rather than continuing to hammer away, getting less and less efficient, he decides, I'm done for the day. I'm done being a blacksmith. I'm going to go off and do something else. I'll get refreshed, come back the next day and start all over again. The first blacksmith knows he has to spend 12 hours every single day in his workshop, but he very quickly realizes that he doesn't want to spend 12 hours hammering away on these swords. Not only is it not something he wants to do, but it's also very tiring. So he starts doing some admin tasks. He starts shining and polishing his swords. He starts cleaning up his workshop. He starts watching videos of how to make more money as a blacksmith. So while he's in the workshop for 12 hours a day, the leverage is getting lower and lower and lower as he does more junk activities. On the other hand, the second blacksmith, when he's finished his 4 hours of hammering away, when he starts getting tired, he just starts enjoying his life. He starts spending time not as a blacksmith, outside the workshop, having a good time. Very quickly, the first blacksmith notices that 12 hours a day in the workshop is a long period of time. He's getting very, very exhausted and he has to take at least 1 day a week off. This is 1 day a week where he's not going into the workshop. He's sitting on the couch and he's scrolling his phone. This first blacksmith has just dropped his volume by 20% because he's getting really burnt out. On the other hand, the second blacksmith never gets burnt out. He knows that he's just spending 4 hours a day in the workshop. After that, he knows he's going to get a little bit tired, so he calls it quits and he goes about the rest of his life. And as a consequence, his volume is very, very steady. His volume remains good and his leverage remains very high because he's only working when he's at his strongest, when he's at his best. So as a consequence, the second blacksmith doesn't take any days off whatsoever. The first blacksmith starts noticing that as he takes more days off, as he spends more time cleaning his workshop, polishing his swords, watching how to make money as a blacksmith videos, doing lower and lower leverage work, he's producing less and less swords, and he's making less and less money. On top of that, he has to work late into the night. Because he's spending 12 hours every single day in the workshop, this is nearly all of his waking hours. Now, this means that he can't focus on his health, he's sleep deprived, he doesn't have any good relationships, he's not in a good position, he's absolutely exhausted all day in this workshop. On the other hand, the second blacksmith has time for friends. He has time to go hang out and build these relationships. He has time to focus on his health and get pretty wham in the gym. He has time to go to bed on time and actually get high quality sleep so he has good energy for the next day of work. As the months pass, the first blacksmith starts hating his time in the workshop. He has to spend all day in this prison. His health is suffering as a consequence. His relationships are suffering. He's really not enjoying his time in here whatsoever. And he's not getting rewarded with growth. He's not seeing the business grow, so he can't even look back on that and say, well, at least my business is growing. As a consequence, because he doesn't like being in the workshop, he goes there less. He takes more days off. He simply doesn't want to be there. And as a consequence, because he spends less time in the workshop, because when he's working, he has no enthusiasm, no enjoyment, his volume is down and his leverage is down. So his total output is very, very low, and his blacksmith business is stagnant. It's not growing whatsoever, and he's in a pretty poor position. On the other hand, the second blacksmith loves working because he comes in here when he has peak energy, because he can still focus on his health and his relationships, because he has high quality sleep. He can come in here with extremely high energy, get really good returns on his work time, and while the second blacksmith is only working 4 hours per day, he's in there every single day. He doesn't take days off because he loves his work, because he's not burnt out. He has a lot of energy, so he notices that his volume is actually quite similar to the first blacksmith's, but the returns he's getting on his time are so much higher, and as a consequence, his output is so much higher, and he's really reaping the rewards here. His business is really, really starting to take off. Now, while the second blacksmith is doing really well, the first blacksmith is struggling. He's really, really not enjoying this, and he's getting to the point where he wants to quit. He realizes that being a blacksmith doesn't work. You can't make money as a blacksmith. It's not the best vehicle. So he realizes that if he truly wants to get wealthy, he needs to become a fisherman. So the second blacksmith goes to a fishing village and he starts casting his line in and becoming a fisherman. Because if you really want to make money, you can't do it by being a blacksmith. You have to be a fisherman. Now, while the first blacksmith is out at sea fishing, the second blacksmith gets to work, and because he knows that he needs to continue to increase his leverage, he's not going to change his volume. He knows that 4 hours a day is where he needs to be. He has to continue to increase his leverage. And with the extra money he's making, he can start to hire more and more blacksmiths. And he notices that his blacksmith, his workshop, starts getting a little bigger. He has now 4 times the manpower. The returns he's getting on his time start getting really, really, really good. And as he continues to focus on increasing his leverage, his workshop starts getting bigger. He can hire more and more and more blacksmiths, and the business starts really taking off. And eventually he gets to the point where he's not even hammering away. He's overseeing the operation as he watches as hundreds of blacksmiths start producing the swords for him. He's made an absolute fortune. He's made the blacksmith business work, and he's taken it to the top level just by focusing on leverage. He kept the volume stable, he kept it at 4 hours a day, and he just pushed the leverage as high as physically possible because he knows that leverage is absolutely infinite. There is no way, no hours in the day that he could work to produce this many swords by himself. He continued to focus on improving the leverage to get to the point where he had an empire. You can work at peak cognitive capacity for about 4.5 hours every day. After that, the diminishing returns are going to kick in really hard. So rather than constantly trying to push the volume and enter these periods of really, really poor returns in our time, you keep it fixed at about 4.5 hours every day, and you just try and increase the leverage slightly over time. There are a small set of actions that are really required to move your business forward. So we just focus on doing that small set of actions in this window, what you'll notice is that not only is your task leverage really high, but you have more time to do other things in your life, to enjoy other areas, to focus on your health and your relationships. You'll notice that this gives you a lot more energy and allows you to get better returns on your work time. This also increases the enjoyment of the work itself. If you enjoy the work more, then you're gonna work more. You're gonna be more likely to work, which means that your volume is gonna naturally go up slightly. It's also going to significantly decrease the likelihood that you just give up and quit. There is only one way that you can fail, and that is if you quit. And if you significantly decrease the likelihood that you quit, you're putting yourself in a pretty good position. There is a lot of reasons why just focusing on fixing the volume where it is and continuously pushing the leverage higher and higher and higher is very beneficial. I found the sweet spot to be around 4.5 hours a day. At that point, you can get pretty strong returns in your work time, push the business forward quickly, but also have the time freedom to max out all the other areas of your life. So if you're an online entrepreneur and you want to get really strong returns on your work time so you can grow your business, but also max out the other areas of your life, then you can join the Modern Monk community for free. I'll leave a link in the description below for that. For everyone else, if you want to see how I built a truly balanced lifestyle in just 500 days, then you can watch this video right here. So I'll either see you in the Modern Monk community or in that video. Cheers.